right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully, everyone is excited. And as you watch that intro and all that money rolling around, you started getting excited like we do. Love that. Welcome to day 10 of Fast Track with FlowTrack. And this is the last day of our 10-day series. And here we are. Yeah, heck, with the popcorn, got beer in the fridge, sit back, kick it, and let's have a good time together. Today, we're going to talk sales. Today, we're going to talk about how to make money with the system that you are learning, how FlowTrack can really help you build a very profitable, passive business. So, today, we're going to talk about three things. The first thing is sales. We're going to talk a lot about sales, what you can do, how you should think about it. We'll get into some light lead gen conversation. Again, we only have an hour today, so we can't get too heavy into any of this. And then we'll talk a little bit about scaling and how to do that. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's just start out where we kind of started out 10 days ago and talk about SaaS, right? SaaS. And most people call that software as a service. Danny and I don't. We call it solutions as a service. Solutions as a service. So I'm going to kick it over for Danny to say hi, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about, Danny, how we in a sales kind of environment solve problems.
Yeah, so thank you, Lisa, and hello, everybody. So we are on the final day, and I am ready for a day off. So yes, I think it's important, I have found a lot of success being able to have discussions with people and instead of trying to sell all, these tools and this and that, I started realizing that my job got a lot easier when I just go in and just try to identify a problem, right? And so when I don't sell them a calendar widget, I don't sell them appointment reminders. I sell them more people showing up. I sell or people that they're like, man, I'm just tired of someone, I have an appointment and they're no show. Well, let me help you. Here's a solution. I can help with that, which is my favorite thing. So I just learned that my way of selling had to do with just identify a problem and explain what it's going to be like with your solution, right? And so when I sell, it's all about the problem. I don't sell a CRM. I sell, hey, you know what? All of your stuff's in one place. I don't sell a chat widget. I sell the ability of people going to your website and they just leave because there's no easy way to get a hold of you. I sell more people showing up because we're doing reminders instead of a calendar solution, and so forth. I sell, instead of pipeline, I'm going to sell you, hey, you know what? You have so many people, you don't know where they're at. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to not have to worry about everybody that's so close? Just send them one quick text message. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, that would be cool. Now you have more free time. So what I found is that when I am talking to people, I focus on things that I can make easier. It's a solution. I solve problems instead of just saying, I have this widget, I have this CRM, I have these automations. That's how we talk as marketers. And I can't stress this enough. That's how most marketers sell. So when I go in with my approach, you can see how they're able to connect and they're more curious because I'm not throwing at them like at a cardio. Oh, it's a V. It's that. No, I'm saying, hey, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if you had this? Or even better when you're, let's use the car salesman analogy. I don't talk about the cubic feet of a Suburban. I talk about, hey man, do you have a large family? Don't you hate it how sometimes you got to take two cars? Yeah. Well, this Suburban here can help with that. And so that's how I sell. It boils down. It takes a little practice, but you're looking for problems. No, my internet, even though I have Google Fiber, Leland, sucks. It glitches me out. I've changed computers, I've changed everything, and it drives me crazy. So forgive me if I lock up. And anyway, so that's I want you to get that mindset, right? I want you to get that mindset and practice at being able and prepare when you are going to walk into a business. Think about what problems they may have and talk about those problems. By default, a lot of businesses have the same problem. They have a follow-up problem. They have a hard time bringing customers back. Another big one that's easy to solve is they have a problem with responding to leads in a timely fashion. You know, I think there's a statistic that I've used before that there's a 391% chance increase in conversions if you respond in the first minute. So I'm going to reframe that as a problem. I would say, hey, do you realize that, you know, if you don't answer these people in a few minutes, that they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to your competitor. How do you feel about that? I mean, if I can help with that, would you be interested in my solution? Yes. Let me tell you how that's going to work. And then they can picture it in their head, their life with our solution helping them with their problem. Okay. So I can't stress enough that it takes a little bit of practice, but it's usually the same problem with most businesses. And my favorite thing to isolate my business on are the follow-up. That is the number one thing I go after, the follow-up. Do you follow up when people need help? Do you follow up when they ask for or give out a quote? Do you follow up on what their experience was? The follow-up is my number one problem I love to solve because people hate following up with people. It's work. Nobody likes picking up the phone and calling all the customers from the previous day. But guess what, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner? Your business will grow if you do it. What if I can help you with that? Not only that, if you hire someone, well, at $10 an hour, that person's going to cost you $2,500 a month. What if I can help you with that? And the problem there is it's expensive. Wouldn't you rather just pay a few $100? My system becomes your assistant and follows up because you would make more money. So that's kind of where I go when I am ready to sell my software to businesses. It starts with a problem. And that's a great segue for you, Lisa, to talk about conversational selling, even though I was using it.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that people ask me all the time when I'm talking to them and why we're so successful and how we close so much business is the one thing we don't do is we don't use scripts. We don't lock ourselves into that mindset where we're trying to talk. Instead, we're trying to listen. And we call that conversational selling. And I didn't coin that term, but I really like it because people buy from people they like, people buy from people they trust. So when you get a cold call, for example, you pick up your phone and you're talking to someone. If you're trying to follow a script, it's going to be so easy to get off track. And if you're trying to follow a script, what happens if they go off script? Instead, I tell people have bullet points, have things that are just in your toolbox, in your arsenal that you're ready to talk about or to ask about and listen to the customer for what they have to say. So for example, when I first get on a call with a customer, I am probing them to find out what their problems are. Like Danny said, we solve problems. We don't sell anything. We solve problems. So if a customer calls me and says, yeah, I need more customers, the first place I go is to say, okay, I totally get that. We can help you with that. Hey, let me ask you. So when you say you need more customers, can you help me understand what you mean just so I really understand it? Are you saying you don't have enough leads. Are you getting plenty of leads and you haven't closed the business? Help me understand what you mean by that. And then I go silent and I let them talk and I let them tell me what their problem is. Because if someone says I need more leads, we don't understand anything about what they're asking us. We assume what they're saying. I don't like to assume anything. I want them to line out that problem for me. I want them to be so crystal clear on what their expectation is. Then at the end, Danny's famous saying that I've picked up from him is, after they say, man, and that's what I'm really struggling with, I can help you with that. I don't go into a pitch on what I can sell them or what I can help you with that. And then I might follow up with, okay, so I can help you with that. So what I'm hearing you say is, and then I'll repeat back what I understood them to say. Then I turn around and say, so if we could help you with this problem, if we could solve this problem, I mean, is that worth it to you? Yeah, man, that'd be great. You're having a conversation. You're not looking to sell. The sale will come. Like, always assume at the end of a conversation, you're going to have the opportunity to help them understand that we have a solution and we can help you solve this problem. Rarely are they even going to ask it. If you listen to Danny or you've listened to I on a sales call, it's very rare we even tell them what the solution is on that first call. We're just really saying, do you want to work with us? Yes. Okay. Well, we've got to come in and see what that looks like. And then we come in and solve that problem. So always keep in mind that, especially that first interaction with your customer, you're wanting to build trust, right? I literally have had customers tell me, I selected you, I selected your company or whatever it is. It just felt good. It's like, I feel like you understand me. I feel like you know me. Well, yeah, because I let them tell me who they were and I let them explain their problems. And I pretty much just repeated it back to them, probed them, asked them follow-up questions, but I let them speak. And then just literally end with, we can help you with that. We can solve that for you. We can make your world an easier, better place. And as Danny said, we can do it at a fraction of the cost than hiring a team to do the same thing. I love when Danny says things. For example, you'll hear him all the time say, the employee calls in sick, our system doesn't. The employee will show up late, our system's never late, etc. He's building a case for employees are expensive and a whole lot of work. Our solutions are much simpler, cheaper, and easier to implement and maintain. We're selling them on the solution. So with that, I think it'd be prudent for us, Danny. Let's talk about so in our business, what do we sell? Let's go into that, like the kind of solutions we tend to sell on the regular.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I think it starts off with a conversation is that I am a firm believer of keeping things simple. Okay. And I want to tell you that in my journey, I started off trying to automate everything, trying to solve every problem, APIing into this, trying to connect this. And look, that's cool. But I learned that I had an easier time selling when I just work with just the minimum viable product. And that also means I can go to market quickly. Okay. And what I mean by MVP is that even though let me use my window tint business. Okay. My window tint business, we can solve so many different problems. We can help with the lead generation. We can help with the check-in process. We can keep the customer updated. We can ask for a review. We can then send all these, bring them back with more offers for different products. We could do that. And all that is cool. Right? But I want you to realize that it's very important that when I build that system, I have to be very mindful. The more complicated it is, the less the adoption rate, the more things that can go wrong, right? And so the reason why I like to keep things simple, I want to prevent them from logging in if they don't have to. Why? Because sometimes they can't log in. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes they're lazy. Sometimes they're driving, whatever. The point is that the more complicated the system, the more times they got to log in to do an action, may cost you some customers in the long term. Because if they forget to do it, now, if you, depending on your process, maybe the data's no good anymore. Maybe it texts them because they didn't update them to remove them from a campaign. Well, that can cause some friction for that customer. They're like, it doesn't work. It did this when it wasn't supposed to, even if it's not your fault. So I've learned to focus on minimum viable product. I want to stick to trigger-based items that are, hey, a chat widget started. Hey, a keyword is entered in and it auto responds and sends them to a sign up form, whatever's clever. I want to focus on stuff that is triggered by incoming messages or form fills. All right. That's what works for me. Right. And I have built these really, really intricate, cool systems. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of found out I made more money by keeping it simple. Right. And so it just makes a whole lot of sense. It means less setup. I have to work less to install. Here's your chat widget. Here's where your form lives, whether you put it on your site or here's the URL, bookmark it, and just fill it out when you need something to happen, right? And so when you put all that together, it's easier for me to sell, right? Because I can say, oh, by the way, all you have to do is fill out this form and this is what happens. That's not scary. It means it's less work for me because the forms are automatically generated. I just copy the URL and say, here, Mr. Customer, let's put that in your bookmark so you don't lose it. It means that if the person that I onboarding is much shorter, it means that once they're onboarded, that knowledge is easily shared. So when they're training their employees, all they have to do is say, oh yeah, here's the link to do this, and they're done. And I have to keep what happens after that form relatively simple, you know? And so that's why I choose to solve the simple problems, which are usually the follow-up. Did this happen? Great, you need to follow up, fill out this form. And so the customer can understand it. It helps me with sales, the onboarding's easier, and the maintenance is easier. So I don't have to re-earn my money every month when when they look at their credit card, they're like, oh man, you charge $600 and there's all these different steps and this didn't happen. You know, they look at their credit card. They're like, man, well, maybe I don't want to spend $600 or more. So by choosing to stay on the minimum viable product, you know, form-based stuff, chat-based stuff, keyword-based stuff off text messages, and keeping it simple, not only is my life easier, my customers stay longer, which is kind of the point, right? And then my favorite metric is revenue per man hour. If I can do all of that, sell it, onboard and everything, just to keep the math easy in 2 hours, which I'll be honest, I can do it in an hour without even breaking a sweat. Well, if I'm charging $100 a month, I made $1,200 a year. And if they're with me for 3 years, I just made $3,600. Alternatively, if I charge more, and you guys know what I'm talking about, the customer expects me to be more involved in their business. I am putting the onus on the customer. I'm relying on the fact that they're as hard of a worker as I am, checking in, making sure their people are doing their job. But if it's just a form, that barrier is lower. If they're looking at their credit card statement, they're seeing $100, $200 charge instead of a $600 or $1,000 charge. How much the system needs to help them and help their business is lower. If I bring them one customer at a window tint shop, they paid for the system for 3 different months, but I'm going to get them a lot more than one customer. So that is my point with MVP, simpler with less setup, less support, longer, they stay with you longer. It it just checks all my boxes, and thus means my life is easier. All right. And that's a good segue now to throw it back at you, Lisa, to talk about, the day of, keeping your price reasonable versus keeping it higher. I
Yeah.
kind of got you into that little segue.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. People ask all the time. You think about it, you obsess about it. What should I charge? And we're all tempted to go after bigger money because there's a lot of people out there who will teach, I'd rather have one giant fish than 100 swimming fish. But when it comes to solutions as a service, I almost think it's the opposite. Because like Danny said, if you're charging $1,000 a month, you're a mortgage payment. And when things get tight, you're the first person they look at to get rid of. When you're charging $100 a month and you're providing an extreme, value service that helps them with their business, you're the last person they're going to cut. So in our business, we would rather have 1,000 people paying us $100 a month than 100 people paying us 1,000. That's just how we see it, because those less expensive solutions, they solve quicker problems. They're very succinct at the problems they solve. They're very easy for the customer to understand. And if we price it right and do it right, it's kind of like your cell phone. When was the last time you changed cell phone providers? When was the last time, you looked at a bill and cared about it? And then finally, when was the last time you called them and needed support or service? For most people, like for me, for instance, I've had AT&T now for going on 20 years, not months, years. And I don't call them. I don't write them. I pay them the $150 a month and I'm done. Now, if this phone was $1,500 a month, by golly, it better make me money. It better do all these crazy things. And if it doesn't, I'd get rid of it. So keep that in mind. Think about a day in the life of your customer. If you can solve something that makes your customer better, more money, and you can do it in a very simple, recurring way, because everything you want to think about, and we're going to talk about scaling here at the end of the call today, but you guys, if you take a page out of our book, we're constantly looking at two words. We want recurring and we want passive. Recurring that's not passive doesn't help me make more money per man hour. So you'll always hear us talk about. So we want to talk a little bit about lead gen today. So I'm going to jump in that segue with Danny, and let's talk about lead gen, and then we'll finish this call up today with how to scale your business and how to start doing this. Remember, today is just the start. We're going to come back in here and do other things. We're sure there's other smart people out here doing great things. We want to start talking to them and having them come on the regular and really just help everyone think about, how do we make a great living recurringly and passively in our businesses using FlowTrack? So, Danny, let's talk lead gen, right? When we get started, some of you guys might not already have a business. So let's go down that path.
Well, lead gen, as far as finding people to buy your software is obviously the $1 million question. And there's no secret answer. I personally believe that the way that I built my business is I just utilize my network. And it may seem pretty basic for those of you guys that are already in the business, because there's so many tools, and the reality is it goes back to what we were saying. You have a split second to get in front of people, get their attention with a variety of methods. So you better just flat out get to the point. Do you have this problem? We can help, right? But being able to get that message in front of people, I like to start from the top down. The easiest people that I know, and so forth like that, because to be honest with you, I always believe let's start with warm leads instead of before we start generating the cold leads. And where do you, I'm gonna throw the football back to you, Lisa. Where do you start with your warm leads?
Yeah, if I were going to start a new business today, let's pretend I have no customers. I'm going to pick up my phone. I'm going to look through every one of my contacts. I'm going to think about every contact in my phone. And mind you, I have thousands of people in my phone. But let's pretend you don't. Maybe you will only have 100 people in your phone. Who do they know? Are any of them business owners? Are any of them connected to business owners? Do they go to church with you? Are they in a networking group with you? No matter what, if you can get people to advocate for you, and not even just your phone, I want you to start thinking about the Rolodex of life, right? And our Rolodexes now can also be from social media. So think about all the friends you have on Facebook, the friends you have on Twitter, the friends you have all over the place. Find all those people, reach out those people, ask them for help, ask them for referrals, ask them to give you names, right? Tell you who they know, because now they're not cold leads. If Danny goes to a friend and said, hey, Lisa's the gal. I mean, man, I heard you talking about, you're starting a new business. It made me think, you're probably going to need a website. You're going to need this other stuff, man. You should talk to Lisa. I mean, Lisa knows her stuff. So, I mean, do you mind if I make an introduction? How many people are going to say no? Almost every person say, yeah, do that. And don't just leave it at that. Then have that person send that warm introduction, right? Have them physically write that email. Hey, so and so, Danny, I want you guys to meet. I want you to, get to know. Hey, I like Danny. He does all this. And oh, hey, Danny, this person's this. I'll leave it to you two to connect. Because once you've done that, those people are, I don't even like to call them warm leads. At that point, they're pretty hot. They're more than likely going to use you if they were going to go down that business, because somebody they know, somebody they like, somebody they trust actually handed that customer you and said, use this person, I trust them. So don't, most people go out there and they start looking for different ways to lead gen. Start with your community, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. I know Danny's really big. And Danny, do you want to talk about like free trials and things like that?
Yeah, like I always, one of my favorite things to do, Lisa, is I like to ask for help, right? Because by nature, people, when you show up saying, even if you're walking into a business, right? This is just one example. I walk up to the front person and say, hey, I need some help. I'm here to, I have this software and I just want to get in front of the right person. Can you help me? And you're going to get a lot more response when you lead in asking for help. So I like to use that as my intro whenever I am calling my Rolodex. Hey, Lisa, by the way, I'm changing careers, or I started my new agency, or I'm really trying to grow my business. I'd like to ask a favor. Can you help me? People are going to say yes, generally. I'm looking for people that maybe I can help where it's a win-win. Do you know anybody? It's asking for help. Another way to use that technique on giving away a free trial is say, hey, you know what? I have this new software. I wanted to help business owners like you, or business owners, hint, that you may know that, and then you go into the education. Like I noticed that a lot of business owners have this problem. They have a follow-up problem. And then you can go into, they have people that are contacting them on the form, or they don't have chat widgets. Well, I want to help those people. Do you know anybody? Or I want to get people's opinions. I want to get your opinion, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner. You know, I have this new software. It's really powerful. I'm using it in my business, and I really think other business owners, it can help with these problems. I'd love to give you, you know, I'm going to pay for your license for 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, whatever's clever, just in exchange for your opinion. I'm going to pay for it. And so by doing that, they see you bearing gifts. I need your help. They feel like they are helping, and they're getting to see this cool solution. And by managing their expectation, what it's supposed to do, now they're like, this is cool. Hey, you know what? If you want to keep it, it's $100 a month. And then I can't express enough that when you come bearing gifts, how powerful that is. You know, and that also means that it could be in the form of a free trial. It could be the form of one of your tools, like a free chat widget. You follow what I'm getting at. They don't feel like they're being sold, but when they realize that you're willing to pay for their license, for their opinion, they're like, man, that's really cool. I'd love to give you my opinion, because they're getting to use it, you know? And so that works. Another thing that I like to do is I recommend people, when you're starting out or stagnant, go to a business organization like a BNI, a Rotary Club. There's a lot of free meetups for various industries, and say, hey guys, I come bearing gifts. I'd like to give everyone, in exchange for your opinion, a trial on my software. We are brand new. We're trying to work it out, and we're making the software better and better. And I'm going to be honest, that's also my fallback when we get people into our system, in case, God forbid, there's a small bug that pops up. I say, oh, we're in beta. Hey, you know what? Thanks for reporting it. I'm going to get it to the engineers. That's why you're here. Thank you. You're helping me make my product better, so that when I finally do go out, get out of beta, full release, which we're in release now because we keep our things simple. Remember, simple things, less can go wrong, happier customers, less support, right? That's why a lot of my businesses forms. So when you go in front of these BNIs, not only can you go bearing gifts, but you can going with education, the importance of follow-up, the likelihood of getting someone to turn them into a customer, if you reply in 1 minute, is almost 400% better. The likelihood of you getting them on the phone after 10 minutes, and I'm making this up, even though I read something similar, goes down 90%, which means you got to if you take more than 10 minutes to get to answer your customer, you need 10 times more customers to make that the same thing if you answer in 1 minute. Think about that. And if you're a business owner, that should be eye-opening. If you are getting into FlowTrack, just trying to help your own business, focus on when people need help, want to give you money, have questions for your business, respond in a minute, right? So when you go in providing this free information, you become the expert in how they can grow their business. And if you have the unlimited white label package, you can give away unlimited sub-accounts. That's why it's so powerful, right? And I'm going to say this, guys, if you could spend $10 to get 20 leads in your business, would you spend it? Yes. Don't be stingy. Give a free trial, pay for a few emails, pay for a few whatever that costs. Maybe have a demo account, which is what we're going to do. And that demo account allows people to type the word demo into their system. You could say on stage, or while you're presenting, or on a video call, hey, I want everyone to do me a favor, pull out your phone, text demo to this number. And then they get in and they're like, man, that's cool. Imagine how that could help your business. I'd love to give everyone a free trial. And then when there you can give them a calendar link. text calendar to book an appointment with me. Wow, that's cool. Imagine how this can help your business. And so they start picturing once again their life with maybe this could help. And if you focus on the follow-up, the reward is there, because when people start responding in their system, and this goes back to Leland, mentioning KPIs maybe about 15 minutes ago. Well, the only KPI that matters to me is, are people responding? Are they replying? Yes, I do want window tint. Yes, I want this. Yes, I want that. Oh, thanks for following up. I want to book an appointment. And that message comes in from your system. You're proving that it works. The barrier for them to get one customer by, yes, thanks for following up. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. And they say, yeah, let's do it. I just earned my money that month, and I don't have to meet with them like with SEO or ads showing how many conversions we got, because they see it every day when someone responds. Okay. So by using that BNI or rotary technique, or offering information and saying, look, this is important. You want to be the business replying in 1 minute and let every other business be the one that doesn't reply in a timely fashion. I would even say that we have so many people that do business with our local shop because they're like, you're the only one that replied. Blows my mind. So educate people on why it's important. Let them realize on their own that by not replying in a timely fashion for people that need help or that want to give you money, they're just going to go somewhere else. And so the problem is they are going somewhere else. Let me help you with that. And then you are the solution, right? And so by getting in front of those people, they're like, wow, cool. You just take it from there. Have them book an appointment, get to talk to them one-on-one, understand their problems better, and say, yeah, I have this. Here's your trial. Let's see if we can do it. And of course, if you really do help them, if they're a good fit for you and vice versa, they're going to give you their money. They're going to give you their money, and so that it's even better, Lisa, if you have a wealth of knowledge, understanding their problems with credibility. Like me, I come from the automotive world. I've had an automotive customizing business. We did everything from accessories. We even had a paint booth. We did hydro dipping. We did protective coatings. We did all these things. So when I go after people in that world, I understand their problem. And that gives me credibility. Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, to me, anytime you can get into any business that you already have credibility, you earn exponentially more trust quicker. So that's a great segue into verticals. So people, in any business always think it through. Should I go after a specific vertical? Should I not go after a specific vertical? And verticals can be a great way to really hyper focus and solve very specific problems on rinse and repeat. So you can often earn a lot more money when you scale, meaning if one person in that vertical has the problem, odds are everybody in that vertical has the problem. So for example, Danny's situation, all automotive shops get a lot of their business through phone calls and phone calls only. When Danny gets off the phone, he no longer has the ability to talk to that person. So adding in a little sequence and saying to that customer, hey, would you like a coupon should you choose to use us? If they say yes, you're going to send them that coupon. Now you have the ability to follow up. If you built that system and put it in place, now you can go after 100 other, automotive industry, people and sell them that same solution, rinse and repeat. So I think having experience in a vertical is great. If you're a lawyer or you used to be a lawyer, if you're in the financial world or you used to be in the financial world, going down those verticals are going to give you credibility. All I know is tech. All I know is programming and development and websites. So I double dip and I do go down that vertical, and I do have offerings and trainings and other things for other marketing companies because that makes sense for me to do that, right? So for me to go down the same path and say, hey, let me teach you, how to do something and something I don't know, what would you do then? So here's another great tip. So write this one down. If you don't have the credibility, find someone that does and borrow their credibility. So either partner with somebody who has that credibility, or make your first few customers your case studies and your champions. Maybe you give them, hey, I'm going to give you a free account. I want you to help me solve these problems. And in trade for your free account, I'm going to want your case studies. I'm going to want to be able to talk about your successes and put that out here on a system. Or if you want to partner with someone, hey, Mr. Dentist, I'm not a dentist, but if you come on board with me, I'll give you 10, 15% of what we do if you will be my credibility, if you will be, the champion for this particular product. Because when you go down a vertical, when people think you understand them like you're one of them, they're more than likely going to go to that person over someone who's not one of them. So I think, Danny, credibility when you go down verticals is key. If you can get it. If not, that's still okay as long as you have the case studies and you have some type of proven track record. So if you have to give it away for free in the beginning to get those track records, do it. If you want to sell, great example, if you want to sell websites, but you don't have a portfolio, get a portfolio. If you don't know anybody, make up websites, make up businesses, create a portfolio, because that gives you the credibility. People will buy from you if they see success in you. And that's key.
I'd like to add something, Lisa.
Yeah, please.
And if you don't have experience in a ton of business and you're trying to figure out, is my vertical good? It goes back to, do they have a follow-up problem? I've never met a business that they have 100% sign up. It doesn't exist. And if you're thinking of a vertical that is off the beaten path or whatever, I tend to like those more. Because then it's easier to sell because they don't get hit up as often, like everybody that says I'm going to go after a personal injury. I'm like, man, you better be a dag good marketer, because that's going straight to the Super Bowl. I like to go off a little off the beaten path, but I will say this. Do they have a follow-up problem? Do they get all their customers? Will a form that fires off a sequence that checks in, hey, do you have any questions? Hey, I'm just seeing how you're doing. Will that work? Then you have a niche that will work. I can't stress that enough. Almost every business has a follow-up problem. And if you can do check-ins for them off of a form, you already have your solution. It will work. It will work.
Yeah, and nothing can be truer than the difference between swimming in a blue ocean and a red ocean. And if you've never heard that analogy, personal injury attorneys are a red ocean. There are so many people going after them. Think about it like the shark mentality. The water is red from, the melee of everyone going after him. It's a bloody ocean. Whereas a blue ocean mentality is, somebody in some very niche down vertical, people don't really go after them because maybe there's not a lot of them. Maybe for whatever reason, it's not as sexy. That's a blue ocean. They're not getting an email every day. They're not getting, 5 calls a day. It's easier not only to land them, but something that's super important, it's easier to keep them, right? Dentists get hit up. And I know this because we have several dentists in our portfolio. Dentists get hit up every single day of their existence. They're being hit up with emails. They're being hit up with phone calls. They're being hit up with so many different things of people saying, the person doing your stuff's doing a horrible job. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. They put doubt in their head. We got a better system. We got a better mousetrap. It makes your job harder because those people will keep coming back to you. Oh, this guy said I had spelling mistakes on your website. There's no mistakes on your website. They're just getting you to doubt them. They're trying to get you to call them. They're trying to get you to, to jump. It becomes problematic. Whereas the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, the people who aren't getting called all the time, they're only talking to you. Again, I like easy money. So if I haven't said this in this series, I'll say it now. I don't want hard money. I want easy money. I want the easy customer. I want the customer that I solve a problem for and they think I am an amazing person. I've helped them. They just want to keep giving me their money and they're not going to call me all the time. They're not going to constantly, be doubting. Oh, this guy called me and said, we're not optimized. And they just start getting upset. Don't want that. Right. And yeah, I'm gonna throw this one up on the screen, right? We need to work smart, not hard. We like a lifestyle. Danny and I really perpetuate and have a lifestyle business. We want to put in the least amount of work for the most amount of money. And what's funny is our customers get to know us and they start adopting that. They're like, oh yeah, I want to be like you. I want to do what you guys are doing. That's kind of our mantra and they want that too. And you start bleeding. What you solve for yourself when you build your business, you're technically learning for your customer. That's one of the things I love about marketing. When we learn to build our own businesses and market our businesses, because we're technically marketers to some degree, we now have learned how to solve that for our customers. So the number one tip in this 10 days that we can give everyone that helped us the most, we actually use our own system. We use FlowTrack within our businesses. We drink our own Kool-Aid. I hate that saying because the Kool-Aid wasn't a good thing in the example, but we do that. And if you do the same thing, your customer's going to see how it works right from the beginning. So it's a really good way. All right, so I'm not going to get too much more into lead gen. Danny and I just wanted to start you guys with that mindset that once you start learning the system, you need to start thinking about how you're going to sell it. You need to start thinking about how you're going to drum up business for it. So we just wanted to get that out there. We're not going to cover a whole bunch of lead gen methods. Somebody in the chat did ask, where you guys can get resources. We'll share those. We'll put those out on Facebook. We'll start having a little bit more information about that out there. The last thing we want to cover today is scaling. And even though you might not have one customer today, today's the day to start thinking about how to scale this business you're trying to grow. The worst time to think about scaling is when you're big and it's a problem, because you have to go back and fix things that maybe you didn't do correctly. If you think about scaling right from the beginning and you put in measures and things in place to scale, you're going to find that the road to business is easier. And I don't say this because I magically perfected this right from the start. In fact, I didn't. And I had to go back in my business and I had to spend massive amounts of hours fixing things I had done wrong. And that's natural. That's normal. We all do it. So when we think scaling, we're going to get to these two words we already talked about: recurring and passive. The hardest thing in a business is to get customers. So we don't want to build services, okay? We don't want to build services that we have to sell that are one time. And here's how I'll talk about it. When you think about a doctor sees you when you're sick. If you niche down and you become a foot surgeon, he's only going to see people when they have feet problems, right? Problems with their foot. Now let's go to the opposite of that. And I want to think about a chiropractor. When you have a problem with a chiropractor, you can see him 3 times a week. And then at some point, they'll likely put you on a maintenance plan and you'll see them likely for the rest of your life. Do you see how that's different? That's recurring. Every product we try to introduce in our business, we try to think about it as a recurring product. So we want a product that the customer buys and they need to keep consuming or using on a continual basis. So I'm not going to get into it heavily today, but I'm just going to put this food for thought in your head. As a web developer, I used to sell websites on a per project basis. So think about $3,000 for a website. I sell it once. Great. It's a lot of money up front. I'm feeling good about it. Now think about Wix. Think about Squarespace. Think about these companies. What did big business do? They don't think like small businesses do. They think recurring. So they started telling customers, oh, we'll get you a website, $14 a month. Now they add on to eventually where that customer is paying $100, $200, $300 a month. So instead of charging them $3,000 up front, maybe they get you to $300 a month. So now I'm making $3,000 a year instead of $3,000 one time. That's how we want you guys to start thinking, because that's what we did in our businesses. That's how I ended up meeting Danny. That's how Danny and I got together and became business partners, because I got a taste of this with hosting and Danny helped me see the light on that. Danny really came in and helped me understand that recurring is my way to fruition. Now I want you to add one word with recurring. I want you to think recurring plus passive. The services that require you to set up once, like Danny was talking about a minute ago, and then have very little maintenance. So if it's recurring, happens every month, and it's passive. So you solve a problem in a business. Like think about that form that they might have. Everyone has to fill out some kind of form at a med spa. Well, I can do that for you, Mr. Customer, at a very low price, passive plus recurring for the rest of my life. Now I go sell that to 1,000 businesses. I'm earning recurring passive money. This is how you're able to scale a business. This is how Danny and I were able to scale our businesses. You go from, the possibility of making six figures quickly to making seven without having to have thousands of people or hundreds of people working for you. And that's key. That's key. So scaling starts from right now, today. We want to think about products, solutions, services that are scalable without adding a whole bunch of extra time and work. And that comes down to that minimal viable product. You're going to hear us talk a lot more about this, because that minimal viable product is what's going to free you up. Danny talks about, his man hours, right? His RPMs. It's what we call them, revenue per man hour. We want to make $600 an hour, $1,200 an hour, $2,400 an hour. That's what we want to make. And you can't do that without the two words put together, recurring plus passive. The passive is the key to upping your man hour. So everything we build, everything we do, that's what we're thinking. And so Danny, I'm gonna kind of ask you, because to me, this is, what Danny does so well, and something that I admire him on, is he takes large ideas. So I'll come to him with these giant process maps. I want to do this and I want to do this. And I build these things, and he goes, get rid of that. Let's simplify. So let's talk about keeping it simple, Danny.
Well, I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself, because, it goes back to being able to keep things passive and reoccurring. Is I don't try to solve every problem just because I can. I don't necessarily make more money. I just expose myself more. So the most important thing, again, is to keep it simple, and that's why I like to keep it very trigger based off forms. A lot of my solutions as a service is a trigger off of a form. It is extremely scalable. It's the onboarding is so simple. When they need help, I just need to make sure the form works and text messages and emails are firing. That's it. It doesn't get any more simple. I don't have to hire support staff. I don't have to, it just means that things just work, right? And I'm not worried about, oh, did this happen? Did that happen? Or there's an API outage because I'm connecting to the software. That doesn't mean I won't do it. But the point is, I make a very conscious effort for myself and for my customers to keep it simple. I just want to solve usually just one or two simple, easy to solve problems off of a form, which makes it extremely scalable, right? When I get a new customer, all I'm doing is I'm going in and grabbing their URL. Here's your form. I'm making sure that they got a phone number assigned, easy, and then everything just works. Instead of, oh, I need to go create a new Zap and create this Zap to that piece of software. And then what if that software doesn't return the favor and execute its web? Those just complicate things, right? So I am a firm believer that the simpler you make it, the easier the onboarding is, the easier the support is, the easier the barrier for entry for your customers to get in, the easier it is for them to keep using it, the easier it is for them to know that it's working, the easier means happier customers that need less of your time, that need less of your support, means more revenue per man hour. And FlowTrack has so many different tools in your tool belt. You could try to build that business with all of them, and you can. And I'm not going to say it doesn't work, it does. But I want to find that happy balance. If it's for my business, I want to do something that's easy for me, because then it's easier for me to onboard one of my employees. Hey, just fill out this form when this happens. Done. If I'm a white label or a black label, I just want to say, hey, Mr. Business Owner, I know people are a problem. Here's the form that solves this solution. Hey, you need a review? Here's the form that solves this solution. Hey, you want to do a follow-up after you give them a quote? Here's the form that is the solution. It's the same Lego block that I use over and over that require less setup, less support, that makes me more money and consequently makes my life so much easier. I mean, the people that know me, I field more questions in the Facebook group in one day than I have for my customers this entire year. No joke. Because I keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And if any of you guys were ever in the military, I was in the military, and that was I think I learned that day one. Keep it simple. KISS. That's what we were told all the time. Something we always think through in our companies are automation. If we can't automate it, should we continue doing it? And sometimes you should, but we try to figure out how we can automate everything. And we always ask, if we can't automate it, why are we doing it? And I would say most of the time we could skip it, or we can figure out a way to automate it. Because at the end of the day, literally some of the things you hear us say, this minimal viable product, revenue per man hour, that's what's given us the lifestyle we have. I don't know about everybody here, but Danny and I specifically, we want a freedom lifestyle. We don't want to be chained to a business. We want to work because we enjoy working, not because we have to sit there, hour after hour trudging in the system. So, all right. So we're at our time. We're trying to be really mindful of this. I just want to kind of tease everyone and excite everyone. And then hopefully we can get Mike to pop on and bring this home for us. But I want to tease everyone a little bit. We have a program that we're working with Mike on to kind of also get out here, just, a little mini series, 135. And we want to help everyone who doesn't have their first customer with FlowTrack. We want to help you get your first customer. And then if you have your first customer and that's where you're at, we want to help you to get to your second and third customer. And then your fourth and fifth customer. So we're going to call it the 135 kind of process. It's something we do in our business. It's something we advocate with anybody we talk to. But we want to make sure we can constantly bring on new business and make it easy and quick to do. So we're going to be out here helping everyone do that. So hopefully you guys are going to get excited about that. But 10 days was plenty to do in a row. And it's all we were able to do. We're looking forward to having a weekend off. We are going to take the weekend off, regroup, and then come back to you guys. So I think this has been an amazing series, and there's our fearless leader right there, Mike.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. I heard you guys have been killing it with these. I'm getting lots of people.
You heard
commenting
100% correct, by the way.
Yep.
100% correct.
Absolutely.
Well, It's been fun. I'm really excited. I the three of us and the rest of the FlowTrack team, we're still planning out where we go from here. We want to keep doing some training. We want to make it a little bit more bite-sized. This last 10 days was the combination of a marathon and a race at the same time, right? Because there's just so much to cover, and we wanted to make sure that you had at least a great starting point to be able to get started with FlowTrack. I can say the first thing that we're going to do, and it's, please be patient with me, because we're obviously managing our own business. We're trying to help people in the Facebook group, and we want to be able to create a video library for how we use the system in bite-sized videos. Okay, if you want to build a contact form, I'm not going to send you to day 4 or whatever day I did it to go watch an hour video. Even though all of that info is helpful, my next goal with even the FlowTrack support team and Lisa and myself and Mike is to figure out where we can make these videos in bite-sized fashion, in a bite-sized fashion, where it's easier to consume and be able to quickly reference something so you can get to market that much quicker. And then there's just so many things like I think Mike had the great idea of building a podium replacement. I think that's a great idea, where we can do some over-the-shoulder stuff, where we're not trying to jam-pack everything into an hour, rather than maybe make that into its own series where we get to take our time. And I don't know the format of it yet. I'm going to get with Mike and where we can actually make it as collaborative as reasonably possible, and be able to show you guys not just how we set up our system, but more importantly, how we use our system, how we create solutions for the problem, our thought process. So there's a lot more to come. I'm really excited to be working with FlowTrack. They're helping our business. It's just been an incredible experience so far, and it gets better and more powerful every single day.
Absolutely. Well, I know everyone can't wait to see what you guys have in store for what's next, because this was an awesome first 10 days. And yeah, we'll figure out the format, and we'll get some feedback and see what you guys like and what you guys need. And I think having it in bite-sized chunks is awesome as well. So I think that sounds like a great idea, 100%. So I'm just very thankful you guys came on here to share your experience with everyone, and everyone gets to see, successful Black Label customers, what they're doing and how they do it. And I think that's really awesome.
Well, thanks for having us, Mike. I mean, it's been a great experience for us as well. And the community as a whole has been it's been awesome. I mean, it makes it fun. And if you don't love what you're doing, then what are you doing?
Exactly. Great deal. So we're getting some love in the comments right now. So yeah, that was awesome. Good times. Well, I appreciate you guys. So we're wrapping up for today. You guys been at it for, oh my gosh, like an hour and 5 minutes. Time flies.
We tried to keep it under an hour, but we always went over because there's just so much and lots of great questions. And it's, we try to continue it in the Facebook group, and we're doing the best we can, and I even like it when people are jumping in and sharing their knowledge. It's really fun to watch.
Absolutely. And that's something that's so amazing about the Facebook community, is just everyone jumping in and helping each other out. And I love to see that. It makes me really excited. So keep up the great work, community as well. So you guys are doing amazing, making a big impact on a lot of different people's businesses, which is really, really amazing.
Thank you.
Well, and it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're glad we're in your village.
Yep.
Yep. Best village.
Best village. You know, we made it no secret in the 10 days that we are FlowTrack fanboy and fangirl. And it's only because we've used so many other systems. It's not just because we're saying it. We've been down so many paths and we've been in the trenches. And this is the best solution we've found. And yeah, maybe it, you know, it doesn't have every single thing everybody wants, but it's got the best team, the most responsive team. And when we get a solution, they're well thought out, and it's the best software I've ever used in the cloud-based systems. And I don't say that as lip service, Mike. I mean, really, it just gets better and better. And that's who we want to partner with. And hopefully if you're watching this and you're new and you're on the fence, honestly, we've tried it all. You know, hit us up in the Facebook group. I've been on every software you can imagine for the last 15 years, 20 years. And this one, as we've said before, we've bet on the right horse. Every day we solidify that we went in the right direction.
Yep.
Awesome. Appreciate that praise. I know the team has been crushing it. So they're launching tons of features and tons of fixes and tons of everything. And if you think it's good now, just wait until you see what we got in the store. So 100%.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited, you know,
Awesome.
and I know I can do all I need to do to go out there and start selling already. You know, more features are cool, but like I said, I focus on forms and the follow-up, and that's what makes us money. I mean, I've tried, you know, all these cool integrations. I've tried to solve every problem, and you know, because you have the best form builder I've ever used, I mean, our life is getting easier. I mean, it's fantastic. So I can already do what I need to do, and anything else is just the cherry on top.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, when you keep it simple, you know, like the KISS method, keep it simple. I think that's awesome. That's the way to go. It's easier to sell, easier to understand, easier to see results. Just everything's easier. And when you're trying to demonstrate value, explaining 14 different services can be, you know, a lot of work. But just explaining a simple result is a lot more attractive.
And
100%.
confused, but minds never buy. So if you overwhelm the customer,
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing something, they'll do nothing.
Yep. Yeah, that almost goes down to I mean, I think it was Costco. They did that study a long time ago where Costco is big into giving you less options or not overloading you with different options. I don't know if you guys have noticed at Costco, when you go buy like toilet paper, they got like one brand of toilet paper, maybe two if you're lucky, right? They could have 15 brands of toilet paper and all these different options, but you do make decisions quicker when it's easier to understand. You have less options. You want the one thing and you got the one thing. And I think that's great from a marketing perspective. Keep it simple. A lot of businesses want more customers. They want more money. They want more leads, right? And that's what you're offering as an agency. And the tools you use to get there, right? That may just be the confusing part. They want to see the results. So I think that's awesome.
Yep. I got tired of showing up to meetings every, you know, when I was doing SEO every month, every couple months, depending on the client. They're like, well, what do we got? I'm like, well, it's going up just like it was last month. And you know, you know, it gets to the point to where if you get so successful, all you are is in meetings, or you need to hire someone. And so that's why I like the keeping it so simple that, hey, are people replying to the text messages to book appointments in my business? Yes. Then it works. You know, I mean, that to me is it just checks all the boxes. You know, I mean, I gotta say that, you know, a lot of people, you know, they focus on email and all these other tools. All I do is I focus on SMS. Why? Because most businesses are not texting, and it was the single biggest thing I added to my business that moved the needle. I mean, we were doing SEO in our tint shop. We were doing ads, lots of ads, probably spending $4 or $5 grand a month just in SEO and ads and everything else. And we struggle. These are people that would go into those funnels trying to get quotes, requesting us to meet out with them or give them a quote and meet with them or they were asking for us to do stuff and we couldn't even talk to them. Send them an email. Well, guess what? It's in their email box that they barely even check because they're not all like us. Most people don't run their business off of email. They work somewhere. So when they put in the email, it gets buried, goes to spam. It's not their lifeblood like it is for us. Right. And we couldn't get them on the phone. We'd call them. How many times did they answer? Not enough. I'll tell you that. Why? Because it's a number they don't recognize because of how bad spam is. But I'll tell you what, when we started texting, we started talking to more than double the same amount of people off the same amount of ad spend. So that alone, without automation, is a huge reason to be offering that as a service. And it's usually where it starts, right? How many unread emails do you have? I delete a lot of unread emails if you don't have my attention. Exactly. Yeah, you've got a lot. And so do I. I have probably about 10 different email addresses. And it is a chore going through them all. And I'll tell you what, certain emails get my attention and other ones I'm like, that can wait. And when people are shopping around and they're not checking their email, it's all about getting them at the right time. And how many unread text messages do you have on your phone, Lisa? I don't have any.
None.
That's the point. So just that alone changed our business. And by me being a person that experienced that, I'm able to bring an incredible amount of credibility. I get to tell a story, a testimonial about how my version of FlowTrack changed my business. And then that makes people feel more comfortable and it's just easier to sell because it's true. It makes sense. It was just logical what I just told you. Let's give it a shot, Mike. Let's put texting in your business. I bet you it's going to help.
Yeah, so that's so true. I mean, I love that analogy. Like, how many unread emails do you have versus unread text messages? And I think that sums it up perfectly right there, 100%. So it's all about getting your customers to open the message, read the message, and reply to the message. And you're only getting, 5% of them, 5% opening or 10% opening, like an email, that you're already like, 10x lower than you could be just on texting. So huge difference.
And speaking of SEO, if you guys are SEO agencies, if you're doing marketing for your customers, when I adopted solutions as a service, when I started adding these simple little things that Danny is talking about, we had customers that we were crushing it for with SEO. They were getting thousands of, hits a month, and people were coming to their website and still complaining they didn't have enough traffic. When we turned it around and decided to ask the customer, can we add this as a free service? Can I give you this as a free trial? Can I just help you convert? It was amazing to see. We had one customer that was getting 7,000 phone calls and form fills a month from what we were doing in SEO. They paid us a ton of money, but they were going to quit because they weren't landing cases. This was a divorce attorney. And we went in and said, can we add this software? Can we add this process? Can we change the way your company is reacting to these leads? They came back the next month and said they doubled, just in 30 days, they doubled the amount of cases they booked. In that first month. That's going to assure me my customer stays with them. So you also have to think about it. If you guys are out there doing other services, adding FlowTrack to the mix solidifies those services, makes you more valuable to your customers. So you can't lose with these, SaaS products. There's always something that can make you more money and, of course, solidify the relationship with the customer. It's just amazing.
It's definitely stickier, and that brings you to the point, you have them on the software and maybe they say, you know what, we're good, Lisa. We don't want to give you $1 gajillion for SEO anymore. They're still going to keep the software. They're still going to keep the software. And that's also why, we itemize the software. We give the software its own identity. We give it a separate fee. We might even give it a separate invoice because it's super sticky. So you could be running ads, you could be doing SEO. And when it's time for them to either they're happy or unhappy, whatever. The point is they want to stop. FlowTrack could be the solution to still keeping them as a customer. And if you build the system to solve an important problem, you did your job, they're never going to quit. They don't want their life to get harder. If you keep it reasonable, keep it simple, your life is easier. And I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Now, when you start looking at discretionary things to spend, a lot of businesses look at, ads and SEO and different things, but you never really look at the platform that's helping generate business, right? You're never looking at that to cut. That would be like cutting off your arm at that point. So that's a great point.
Yeah, CRO is something that is the future. We're all going to get nimbler at attaining that customer. So.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
It's been a heck of a 10 days, let me tell you. And thanks for having us, Mike. I'm looking forward to keeping this going in the future. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy how the last 10 days went. And I appreciate everybody that participated, everybody that asked questions. It really made it very fulfilling, and I look forward to continue doing it.
Perfect. I think this was awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And this is just the beginning. There's going to be much more to come. So great job.
Yep. All right. Well,
have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.